How does San Antonio? I want to thank everybody for being here, but especially I want to take a moment and thank Veronica, who was just talking, as well as for Kathy being out here. Listen, I'm going to be covering later on a little bit about the topic they were talking about. But at this moment in time, I want to thank them for having the courage. And what I will say is the strength from God to empower you to step up. And what you've been through is a gut punch. And I don't know if everybody could hear exactly what they're talking about. There are people way back there. And it's kind of interesting because I was outside before coming in here, and it's like 20 degrees warmer in here than it is outside. And so that means I'm going to come only 2 hours. But listen, what these women and what these families have been through to lose a child to poisoning by fentanyl is unacceptable. And I'm going to be working with them as well as other parents like that. There are far too many parents, and I'll give you the numbers later on about it, but I just wanted to start out by expressing my gratitude for it takes extraordinary internal fortitude and strength to go through what they've been through and to get up and do what they're doing. But they know that they're doing it because it's a way to help their children live on and to make Texas a better state. And that's what Texas is all about. So we have some great candidates with us, and let me tell you something to be clear about. And I'm going to explain more about this topic in a second. But I'm here in Bexar County, Texas, here today for one simple reason, and that is to remind everybody here that next Tuesday we are going to win, and we're going to keep Texas red. But it's not going to be me winning alone. It's going to be a lot of great people up and down the entire ballot, some of whom are here and some of whom may have spoken. John, did you speak? Yes, sir. Okay, and I don't know who all spoke, but you got John Lujan, who I need y'all to send back to the Texas House of Representatives. I got a feeling, John, that we are in your district right now. Is that right? Yes, sir, we are. All right, good to have you here. And I'm looking for Allison. I don't see Allison. There he is back there. We got Steve Allison, also a state representative from San Antonio, Texas. Good to have you out here. And then I want you to meet someone. I want to tell you a little bit about him. We got Robert Garza. Robert, why don't you come over here? So we got Robert Garza. He's those folks I was talking about. They're running for the Texas House of Representatives. Robert is running for the Texas Senate, and I'm backing him. And let me tell you why I'm backing him running for the Texas Senate. His opponent is the incumbent. His name is Roland Gutierrez, and well, if you don't like him, let me tell you more that will make you not like him even more. Because, listen, one thing I believe in, I'm going to be talking to you a lot about very quickly today, but that's policies. And let me tell you what Roland Gutierrez did this last session. He voted to defund county law enforcement. That is outrageous. It's outrageous. Get this. He voted against border security in the state of Texas. And he sponsored a bill that would require vaccination of children for COVID against a parent's will. A lot of parents ask about this. I want you to know, for one, Texas law now says there's a parent's choice to decide what's right. And to make double sure about that, I already issued an executive order saying it's completely parents' choice whether or not a child is going to be required to get a vaccine. So I got to tell you, the list is far longer than that. But this is the right man to support. I'm supporting Robert Garza. I want you to also. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Governor.
All the best to you. And then we got two great candidates for the United States Congress. We have Cassie Garcia, who I'll be talking about more here in a second, as well as Cal Sinclair. There he is. Tallest man in the room. So he would make the congressional basketball team a whole lot better. But there's other reasons to elect him, obviously for policy-based reasons. But listen, let me, I told you earlier that we're going to win. And let me tell you why we're going to win. We're going to win kind of for what I was going through when I was talking about the value set of Robert Brown versus Roland Gutierrez. We're going to win because the conservative policies that Republicans have put in place have made Texas the #1 state versus these radical leftist ideological policies that Beto O'Rourke and the other Democrats are campaigning on. They would ruin the state of Texas for who we are. And we are not going to let that happen. So let me just give you a couple of examples. One thing that's so important in our country today because of what Biden has done to destroy our economy, what Biden has done to increase inflation, we need a refuge as a state of a good, strong economy that creates jobs. And I want you to know, you happen to live in the Lone Star State, the great state of Texas. Texas has the fastest growing economy of any state in the United States of America. And also, Texas, since you all last reelected me, Texas has added far more jobs than any other state in the United States of America. Texas is the best state for jobs in the economy. But here's a point of contrast, because what Beto's been talking about, he's been talking about raising your taxes as well as spending more of your money. He would destroy our economy and increase inflation even more. Well, I am running for re-election to keep Texas the #1 economy in the United States of America. Listen, as you all know, I know some of you here are involved in this particular industry. But one reason why Texas has such a strong economy is because Texas ranks #1 in the United States for oil and gas production. We are so prolific in producing oil and gas that if Texas were its own country, we would rank 3rd or 4th in the entire world for oil and gas production. But here again, we have Beto who's against us because Beto embraced the radical leftist ideology of the Green New Deal that would destroy oil and gas production. It would cause hundreds of thousands of jobs to be lost, and it would cause you to pay more at the price of the pump. Well, we are not going to let him win, and I am running for re-election to make sure we keep Texas the #1 state for oil and gas. So listen, these policies, they have a consequence. Because Texas has the best economic policies in the United States, Texas has the largest budget surplus of any state in the United States. A budget surplus means we have extra money in our bank account that we need to spend in the next session coming up this coming January. And I know there's a lot of people in the room. We got fans on. It may be hard for people here in the back, but just to clarify, I said we have $27 billion of extra money to spend. So listen, we'll spend some of that money to take care of our schools, to take care of health care, to take care of needs that we have. But let me ask you all this question. Whose money is that? You are right, and so you deserve it back, and I want to use at least half of that $27 billion to return it to you with the largest property tax cut in the history of the state of Texas. But listen, this election and our future is about more than just economics. Our future, as you all know, rests largely in our children. And I got to tell you, one thing that we must do as a society is make sure that we're providing our children with the best quality education. And I got to tell you, that's not happening for reasons which I cannot explain. Increasingly, schools have begun to try to use political agendas in the classroom. Let me tell you something. Our schools are for education, not indoctrination. I am the only candidate for governor who is against the teaching or use of critical race theory in our schools, and I will continue to fight to make sure that we're not using that to... You know what we got to do? We got to stop all the politics in our schools, get back to fundamentals, reading and writing and math and science, the fundamentals of what our kids need to learn. But if you had to reduce it to one thing, it would be this. Remember something that we Republicans, we conservatives, we Texans believe in, and that is we happen to live in the greatest country in the history of the entire world. And there are many people here with us today who did their part to help America remain that way, and those are the men and women who've worn the uniform of the United States military. If you have ever done that, would you wave your hand so we can thank you for your service to the United States of America? Thank you, guys. So listen, there's another issue that divides myself and Beto in this race for governor. It concerns protecting the safety of you and our communities. So you've seen on TV these stories about these smash and grab operations in L.A. and San Francisco. You've seen the crime-ridden cities of New York and Chicago and places like that, and you see one constant in all of those communities, and what you see in those communities is that they have a disrespect for law enforcement. They're trying to diminish the role that law enforcement plays, and in fact, some of them even defund law enforcement. And candidly, personally, I thought that would be something that would happen in these other states, not the state of Texas. But the fact of the matter is, it did happen in Texas when the city of Austin defunded their police by more than $100 million. That is wrong. But it's the kind of policy that Beto supported when he supported defunding the police. Well, in Texas, we don't defund police. We support our law enforcement officers, period. And that's why I worked with Representative Allison this past session to make sure that we would implement that forever going forward by signing a law that will defund any city that defunds their law enforcement. So I want to bring up, so I have, if I can be partial, I have one law enforcement officer who is my favorite law enforcement officer. Her name is Clarissa, and there you go. This is not Clarissa right here. This is Clarissa right here. And she is a member of the San Antonio Police Department. But she's kind of better known these days. When I arrived at the airport today, everybody at the airport said, "You're T.O. Gregg." And the reason why they said that is because we are running an ad by my niece, Clarissa Phelan, right here, talking about why she supports me for re-election as governor, because she cares about her kids and her kids' future. And I want to thank Clarissa for serving in SAPD and for cutting that ad to make sure Texans know what we stand for.
We love you.
Thank you. You too. Good to see you out here. Well, listen, as unsafe as it is to defund our law enforcement, there's something going on as we speak today that's even more dangerous than that. And that is the Biden and the Democrat open border policies that are wrecking our country. So let's never forget, let's go back in time. It was just 2 years ago where we had the lowest border crossings in decades. This past year, under Joe Biden and the Democrats, more than 2.2 million people came across the border illegally. Let me give you context for that. The city of Houston is the largest city in the state of Texas. The population for the city of Houston is 2.3 million people. We had a city of Houston come across our border just this past year alone. That is unsustainable and unacceptable, and by God, we're going to step up and do something about it. So I'm going to talk about building the wall in a second. However, let me tell you about this, because this is so important, because something's going to happen really soon, as in on next Tuesday night. On next Tuesday night, we're going to elect. I lost him now. Is Cassie still here? We're going to elect Cassie Garcia as well as Cal Sinclair to the United States Congress. And so let me tell you the first thing they're going to do. We're going to send them to Washington, D.C. They're going to be replacing Democrats. And when they go to Washington, D.C., the first thing they're going to do, they are going to fire Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. But listen, while I have him here, let's do some lobbying on him, okay? So here's the second thing I would like you to do. Once Nancy's gone, and once we have Republican leadership there, so remember this idiotic idea that Joe Biden put in place, where he said he wanted 87,000 IRS agents. But as I understand it. As I understand it, he called for these 87,000 IRS agents, but they've not yet been funded. You know who's in charge of the budget is members of Congress. So here's my ask of them. Don't you give a single penny to those IRS agents. Instead, I want you to hire 87,000 Border Patrol agents, fund them, and put them on the border. Those Border Patrol agents are underfunded, disrespected by their own president of the United States. And they're, candidly, in Washington, they don't have a clue what's going on. But you know what? We got a clue here in Texas. And because Biden and the Democrats are not doing their responsibility, Texas is stepping up and doing what no other state has ever done. If you go back to the time of George Washington until today, there's only one state to ever build our own border wall, and that is the great state of Texas. And then we have the National Guard on the border as we speak right now, and the National Guard's primary responsibility is to repel and to turn back people who are trying to get across the border. And if people get past the National Guard, they then encounter the Texas Department of Public Safety, who will arrest them and put them in jail for trespassing in the state of Texas. Two weeks ago, DPS arrested a man from Honduras who was trespassing in Texas. When they processed him, they learned there was a warrant out for his arrest for murder. So we have dangerous people coming across our border, and that's why we have DPS doing what they're doing. But listen, y'all have seen on TV the people in single file coming across the border. They're being led by a cartel member, and they're going to one single location. It's a location that's owned or controlled or operated by the federal government, where the Border Patrol is there. And these days under Biden, the Border Patrol is not patrolling the border. They're filling out paperwork for all these people coming across the border. And then after they fill out that paperwork, those people are allowed to stay legally in the United States of America, and they get dropped off in these small communities like Eagle Pass and Del Rio and things like that. This past April, I was down in the Del Rio sector talking to the mayors, the county judges, the sheriffs, and police chiefs about what they need. And they told me what they need. I said, I'm going to help you out, because they cannot process all the thousands of migrants that were being dumped off in their communities. And I told them that the following week, I would begin busing these migrants to Washington, D.C. So why Washington, D.C.? Two reasons. One is because Washington, D.C. is a self-declared sanctuary city. This is what Democrats do all the time. They virtue signal, oh, we want to be a sanctuary city. But then when they got just a couple of hundred migrants, they started crying, complaining. They could not handle just a couple of hundred migrants. They were asking for more money. And it got so bad, even the mayor of New York, where they have about 25,000, 30,000 migrants, the mayor of New York is asking for $1 billion to take care of 25 or 30,000 migrants. If he gets $1 billion, Texas deserves $1 trillion for what we're having to deal with. And if y'all been paying close attention, you notice that we changed the location where we're dropping off the migrants in Washington, D.C. At first it was near the Capitol, but then Kamala Harris started talking about how, listen, the border is really secure, showing she knew nothing about what was going on. And so I felt an obligation to be involved in the education process. So now they're being dropped off at the residence of the Vice President of the United States of America. I missed that. Say it again. Delaware. Listen, so I'm looking at my list. We've got a bunch of cities we're going to be sending them to, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. But listen, now I want to circle back. I want to talk about fentanyl for a second and talk about what y'all have been through. So I know y'all talked about it, but I want to talk about from what we're doing. One of the worst things going on the border is the deadly fentanyl coming across the border. The precursor elements of fentanyl are made in China, shipped to Mexico, and the drug cartels then lace it on to pills that are then sold and trafficked into the United States, and they look like valid pharmaceutical drugs. They are, to the naked eye, for us people who are not pharmacists, we would not know that these are not bona fide pharmaceutical drugs, and people will buy them and they take one pill and they lose their life. And it's completely unacceptable what's going on. And so what I want to do, first of all, is to help these families who've been through this in several ways. One is to make clear that what their children died from is not an overdose. It's a poisoning. And we will label fentanyl for what it is. It is fentanyl poisoning. And then the second thing is this. The people who are lacing it on there and then knowingly selling it to somebody else, I want to increase their penalty and ensure that they will be charged with murder for murdering somebody. And then there is a drug that's readily available that law enforcement typically has, but I want to make sure more people have access to. It's called Narcan. If you have access to Narcan, you're going to be able to immediately stop what's causing you to lose your life, and you will regain your life. And we've had several law enforcement officers do that. We want to make sure that's going to be readily available to save more lives. And then the last thing is to provide more treatment and therapy so we can provide a pathway out for people who otherwise would be overdosing on drugs. Bottom line, we're going to take care of them. But there's some other business we've got to take care of in the meantime, because I'm tired of what's going on. Mathematically, here are the facts, and that is, in the United States of America, the leading cause of death to people aged 18 to 45 is not car wrecks, is not cancer, is not COVID. It's fentanyl. That's how bad it is. And in the state of Texas this past year, we lost almost 1,700 Texans because of fentanyl. And it is unacceptable, and I'm ticked off about it. And let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm tired of these drug cartels bringing this into our state, and that's why last month I declared drug cartels as terrorist organizations, and we are going after them. We're going after them. We're going to put them out of business in Texas. So listen, to say the least, there's a whole lot on the line this election. The border is on the line this election. Your jobs, your taxes, your freedom, your safety. But there may be something more important than that on the ballot this election, and that is your values. Listen, I know the values of the people of San Antonio. If you don't know, which you should, listen, I began dating what became my wife back in 1978. And she was living in San Antonio, Texas, where her family still lives, in the same house that she was living in as a kid growing up. And I've connected with the values of San Antonio ever since then. She and I got married at Our Lady of the Lake and back in 1981. And so I've been proudly married to the first Hispanic First Lady in the history of Texas for 41 years now. And your core values, faith, family, freedom, and hard work, those four things represent the values of San Antonio and represent the values of the Republican Party. But this is the key point, though, and that is, in this election, you need to understand what's about to happen on next Tuesday. Because what happens on Tuesday is not going to be me either winning or losing. It's going to be you who either wins or lose. You need to understand that. It's you. It's your family. It's your children and your grandchildren and your future that's on the line this next Tuesday. And so I need you to understand this, and that is because your future is on the line, you need to recognize that Beto O'Rourke, as we speak right now, he's trying to take a sledgehammer to your future and redesign it in a way that would replace it with his left socialistic type policies. And you know what? I will not let that happen to the great state of Texas. And I'm going to make sure that I win and we beat Beto, and he's going to be a 3-time loser. So I'm going to speak for one more minute. I got one last thing to explain to you. And then after I get through talking, I want to take pictures with everybody here. But I lost my card with the voting site on it. Checking for cards. No inventory whatsoever here. Here we go. So here's what I need you to do. I know there are a lot of people in the room here today who have already voted. And we appreciate you doing that, so thank you for doing that. But I also know there's some people here who've not yet voted, and that's fine. That means we got more coming our way. But here's what I need you to do. So I'm going to take a picture, and then everyone who's not voted, I want you to go vote today. Remember this. Everybody in this room has heard this. I learned it in the Boy Scouts. You learned it maybe from your parents or grandparents or somebody. Do not put off till tomorrow what you can do today. And let me tell you what you can do today. If you've not voted, you can go vote today. And so I'm going to give you what I have is the closest location. There may be other locations you know about, but Somerset City Hall is a place where you can go vote. Go vote, take a picture, go vote, and then if you voted and you think you've done all you needed to do, you're wrong. Because here's what we got to do. This is not just me on the campaign trail trying to win this race. All of us. Remember, this is you and your future. I need you to get actively engaged in this process. So here's what I need you to do. There are people right now who are holding up their phone, taking a video or picture. Others of you have your phone in your pocket or your purse or whatever. Everybody here has a phone, but your phone has something on it. My phone does not. Your phone has your contacts in your phone. We have about 500, maybe 600 people here today. Get this math. So I need everybody here today, go home tonight and send 100 text messages to people on your phone list saying, go vote for Greg Abbott tomorrow. And keep saying that all the way through Election Day. And here's what's going to happen. The first time you send that text message, they may not respond. They may not see it. They may ignore it. And so you got to send another text message every single day all the way to Election Day to make sure they do get out and vote. And here's what's going to happen. You keep sending out until one of two things happens. They send you a picture that shows the I vote sign so you see that they voted. Or they send you a text reply saying, if you ever text me again, you will know that you hit pay dirt when you did that. But if everybody does that, together here today, 100 text messages with 500 or 600 people, we will turn out 50 to 60,000 more votes right here.